The autumn light streamed through the bay windows of Veronica Porché's Los Angeles home, casting golden patterns across the hardwood floor. At 67, Veronica still carried herself with the same grace that had once captivated Muhammad Ali decades ago. Her fingers traced the edge of a cardboard box she'd pulled from the attic, labeled simply 1977. Inside lay memories from a different lifetime, her marriage to one of history's greatest boxing champions. Veronica hadn't planned on revisiting these memories today, but her daughter Hannah had called, asking about photos for a documentary tribute to her father. So here she was, sifting through the remnants of a relationship that had ended long ago, but had given her two beautiful daughters and countless extraordinary experiences. If this story has already made you feel something, however, small, don't leave without giving back. Comment and tell me where you're watching this video from, and subscribe to the channel. At the bottom of the box, beneath stacks of newspaper clippings and forgotten correspondence, lay their wedding album. The white leather cover had yellowed slightly with age, but the gold embossing still caught the light. Muhammad and Veronica, June 19th, 1977. She paused, suddenly hesitant. Some doors, once opened, couldn't be closed again. But curiosity overcame her reluctance, and she carefully lifted the heavy album onto her lap. The first few pages were exactly as she remembered. Photographs from their intimate ceremony at the presidential suite of the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. There they were, she in her cream-colored dress, he in his tuxedo, both radiating happiness. Their eyes in the photographs told a story of hope and promise. A promise that would eventually fracture, but one that had been genuine in that moment. As she turned each page, memories flooded back. The small gathering of friends, the exquisite flowers, the champagne toast. Everything had been perfect that day. She remembered how Muhammad had insisted on handling certain details himself, unusual for a man of his stature. Some things, men should do himself, he had said with that mischievous smile she'd come to know so well. Veronica was about to close the album when she noticed something odd. The last page seemed thicker than the others. She ran her fingers along the edge and realized there was a slight separation in the binding. After all these years, the adhesive had begun to give way. Gently, she worked her fingernail into the small gap, careful not to damage the delicate page. As she pulled, the backing lifted away, revealing a hidden compartment. Her heart quickened. Inside was a sealed envelope, yellowed with age, with her name written across it in Muhammad's distinctive handwriting. For 30 years, this letter had remained hidden, waiting patiently to be discovered. With trembling fingers, Veronica carefully opened the envelope, unfolding the letter inside. As she began to read the first line, "My dearest Veronica, if you're reading this, then you've found my secret." Tears welled in her eyes. "My dearest Veronica, if you're reading this, then you've found my secret. I always said you were the smart one." Veronica could almost hear Muhammad's voice as she read, that playful tone he used when teasing her. She settled deeper into her plush leather armchair, a wedding gift from Muhammad that had somehow survived their divorce and 3 subsequent moves. "I'm writing this on the morning of our wedding day, sitting in my suite at the Beverly Wilshire. I've just looked out at the Rolls-Royce waiting to take me to you, and I wanted to put down some thoughts that are too private even for our vows." Veronica paused, glancing at the Cartier watch on her wrist, another remnant from those days of excess and luxury. Muhammad had presented it to her on their first anniversary, its diamond-encrusted face worth more than most people's annual salary. She had tried to refuse it then, uncomfortable with such extravagance, but he had insisted. "The greatest deserves the best," he had said, referring not to himself, but to her. The letter continued. "People see Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight champion of the world. They see the mansion in Hancock Park, the private jets, the million-dollar purses. But you, Veronica, you see me, Cassius from Louisville, a man with fears and dreams like any other. She smiled at the mention of their Hancock Park estate, a 17,000-square-foot Mediterranean palace that had hosted politicians, movie stars, and royalty. The parties they'd thrown there were legendary. Lavish affairs where champagne flowed freely and guests arrived in Bentleys and Lamborghinis. Yet their most precious moments had been the quiet ones, just the two of them sitting on their private terrace overlooking the illuminated swimming pool. What I want to tell you, what I may never find the courage to say aloud, is that beneath the bravado, I'm terrified. Not of Foreman or Frazier or any man who steps into the ring with me. I'm terrified of failing you, of not being the husband you deserve. Tears rolled down Veronica's cheeks now, dropping onto her silk blouse. Muhammad Ali, the man who had declared himself the greatest, who had shaken up the world, who had stared down the United States government itself, admitting he was afraid of disappointing her. I've deposited something in a safety deposit box at First National Bank on Wilshire Boulevard. Box number 1974, the year we first met. Inside is a trust fund I've set up for our future children. No one knows about this. Not my managers, not my lawyers, no one. The key is taped to the back of this letter. Veronica quickly turned the letter over. There, taped to the back, just as he had written, was a small brass key. She held it up to the light streaming through her floor-to-ceiling windows, wondering if after all these years the account would still exist. This money isn't from boxing. It's from investments I made quietly, away from the spotlight. $1 million, growing steadily. It's clean money, honest money, meant for our children's future, no matter what happens between us. The following morning, Veronica drove her Mercedes-Benz S-Class down Wilshire Boulevard, the key from Muhammad's letter resting in her designer handbag. The city had changed dramatically in 30 years, but First National Bank still stood, though now under a different name. She wondered if the safety deposit box would even still exist, if the bank would honor a key from decades ago. As she walked into the marble-floored lobby, memories rushed back of standing in this very spot with Muhammad. He had always attracted attention, his towering figure, his charismatic presence impossible to ignore. Even in a place of wealth and prestige like this bank, where millionaires came and went daily, Muhammad Ali had been something special. "May I help you, ma'am?" asked a young man at the customer service desk, his eyes briefly registering recognition before his professional demeanor took over. "I believe my ex-husband maintained a safety deposit box here," Veronica explained. "Number 1974. After verifying her identity and consulting their records, the bank manager himself escorted her to the vault. "This is quite unusual," he explained as they walked down a long corridor lined with portraits of past bank presidents. "The annual fees for this box have been paid automatically from an account for decades. We've had no contact with the owner." The manager unlocked the outer door with his key, then stepped aside for Veronica to use hers. The small brass key slid in perfectly, and with a satisfying click, the box opened. Inside was a leather portfolio embossed with gold lettering. "For our children," in a private viewing room with mahogany paneling and a crystal chandelier overhead, the kind of luxury Muhammad had always appreciated. Veronica opened the portfolio. Inside were financial documents, investment certificates, and a smaller envelope with "Read me first" written across it. "My dearest Ronnie," the note began, using his special nickname for her. "If you're reading this, then either I'm gone or life has taken us in different directions. I hope you know that whatever happened between us, my love for you was real." The financial documents detailed investments in emerging companies from the late 1970s, Apple, Microsoft, Walmart, stakes purchased long before these became the giants they were today. Veronica gasped as she calculated the current value. What had started as $1 million would now be worth hundreds of millions. The money belongs to our children, Muhammad's note continued, but there's something else in this box that belongs only to you. At the bottom of the portfolio was a velvet pouch. Veronica opened it carefully, tipping the contents into her palm. Out fell an antique diamond ring that she instantly recognized, his mother's engagement ring, the one he had told her was lost during a trip to Africa. Alongside it was a final note. Some treasures are too precious to risk losing. Like this. Ring. Like you. As she slipped the ring onto her finger, a perfect fit after all these years, Veronica understood. Muhammad had hidden these treasures knowing their marriage might not last, yet he had wanted her to find them eventually, a testament to what they had once meant to each other. 2 weeks later, Veronica sat in her garden surrounded by her family, her daughters Hana and Layla, their husbands, and her grandchildren. The table was set with fine china on a linen tablecloth, crystal glasses catching the afternoon sunlight. In the center stood a bottle of champagne, chilling in an ice bucket made of solid silver, a relic from the days when such extravagances were commonplace in her life. "Mom, are you sure about this?" Hana asked, glancing at the legal documents. Spread before them. "This is your discovery. Dad left this for you." Veronica smiled, touching the antique ring she now wore on a platinum chain around her neck. "Your father was very specific in his instructions. The money was always meant for you and future generations." She had spent the past 2 weeks with financial advisors and attorneys setting up a charitable foundation in Muhammad Ali's name. The fortune he had secretly amassed would now fund Parkinson's research, educational programs in underserved communities, and interfaith initiatives, all causes that had been dear to his heart. "Besides," she continued, "I kept one thing for myself." Her fingers traced the outline of the ring beneath her cashmere sweater. Layla, who had followed in her father's footsteps to become a boxing champion herself, wiped away a tear. He was always thinking 10 steps ahead of everyone else, wasn't he? In the ring and out. That was his greatest talent, Veronica agreed. Not his left hook or his footwork, but his vision. He could see possibilities where others saw only obstacles. As they toasted to Muhammad's memory, Veronica thought about the complex journey that had brought them to this moment. Their marriage had lasted only 9 years, but their connection had transcended their divorce, linked forever by their daughters and by the unique experience of having loved and been loved by one of history's most extraordinary figures. Later, that evening, after everyone had gone, Veronica returned to the garden alone. The lights of Los Angeles twinkled below her hillside home as she opened the wedding album once more. This time, she slipped a new letter into the secret compartment, her response to Muhammad, written 30 years after his hidden message. "My dearest Muhammad," she had written, "I found your secret and I want you to know you never failed me. Your greatest victory wasn't in any ring. It was in the hearts of those who loved you and in the legacy you left behind. That legacy continues. No, touching lives you never even knew. Isn't that the real measure of greatness?" As she closed the album, Veronica felt a sense of completion. Some stories didn't have perfect endings, but they could still have meaningful ones. Their love story had been complicated, imperfect, and ultimately transformative, much like the man himself. If you've made it this far and felt every word, don't leave without subscribing. I tell these stories with my heart in my hand to reach people like you who feel, who get emotional, who live. If this truly touched you, give back, comment, subscribe. Come be part of this family with me until the next video.